And Eric Mandel is here in the studio. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
That sounds very fishy, to use the sea. What's going on?
You know, I think just like we've gotten used to the idea of drones doing amazing things and changing the Air Force, I think the next great change is going to be unmanned both surface and submersibles. There's something I believe called Task Force 58 that the United States is putting together to integrate all of that. But we need to look at it of why America is doing it. One, it is a cost saving. And by not putting, just like with drones in the air, not putting men there or women, you're not risking them. But we should take a step back and see what the Admiral for the Fifth Fleet, Brad Cooper, has said about it. Is he specifically said that NAVCENT, which is the naval version of CENTCOM, is that that Iran is the primary enemy. And basically, what does America need to do for the world, as still the unipolar superpower as it is basically keep the waterways of Bab el-Mandeb, between the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, the Straits of Hormuz, between the Red Sea and the Gulf of Oman.
The oil, in other words.
Well, it's oil, because even if America didn't need it, the world needs it. And we could see just now the repercussions of what's happened with Ukraine and Russia. And to have any more stress on the world, you can turn a recession into a depression. So right. America needs to be there.
Let me bring i24 News, Mike Wagenheim from New York. Mike, you've listened to Vice Admiral Brad Cooper explaining what's the plan. What is the plan?
The plan is to expand on what they've been doing. It seems to be having results as of late. The NAVCENT and their partners within the Gulf have been able to interdict drug smuggling operations, weapons smuggling, and now they're going further and trying to limit their enemies in the waters there. Right now, there's a 10-day bilateral maritime operation going on with Bahrain that features unmanned systems that they're testing out. Back in February, 10 nations participated in an exercise with 80 unmanned systems. What they want to do, it's an expansive territory. We're talking about 8,000 kilometers of coastline in the region that NAVCENT covers. The only way to be able to cover that effectively is with these unmanned systems. They go in with cameras. They're able to map out all this territory and figure out what looks normal and what doesn't. And when they see something that's being relayed back through artificial intelligence that doesn't look normal, well, they know to expend resources going to look into it. If it's a smuggling operation, if enemies are in the water, they can know without expending the massive resources that it would take to otherwise cover those with actual ships. So high-tech operation here that NAVCENT is undertaking, and so far it's paid dividends.
Right. So this, at least the Americans now officially are talking about reconnaissance, but Eric, as we've seen with drones, that could be very quickly turned into a killing machine.
Right. These can become kinetic, and that's certainly part of it. The goal for the United States is in the next 5 years to have the equivalents of frigates or destroyers that are unmanned or a very small man to replace American full crews, because they cost a lot of money. But certainly what you're looking to do is things that could either lay mines, take away mines, to strike submarines. Iran has submarines, to strike surface vessels. I mean, Iran's strategy is to create swarms of fast fleets that are very difficult to work with. One of the things America is doing is something, they have an Orca project with submersibles that could go down to 11,000 feet, and they could be in swarms, so they could attack from below. So all of this is, yes, it starts out with intelligence, but the offensive and defensive capabilities are just around the corner.
Right. So, Mike, you need cooperation with the countries around the Gulf and the Middle East, and who's in?
There's right now 34 countries that are what's called the Combined Maritime Forces, and Egypt just joined last year. And Vice Admiral Cooper told reporters yesterday that he looks forward to more countries joining. I asked him specifically about Israel. He said, well, it's going to be up to them in the end, though they are open to accepting more countries. I also spoke with Shaul Chorev, who was the former Deputy Chief of Operations for the Israeli Navy. He said it might not be in Israel's interest to join because of the resources that would have to be expended for a small navy. And the main thing is piracy, which Israel doesn't have to deal with much. Terrorism, Chorev said, could be handled more by the U.S. Fifth Fleet, which Cooper also commands. So he said it might not be, for Israel, the right fit anyway to join the Combined Maritime Forces.
So back to you here, Eric. I can vision a guy in uniform sitting in Texas and manning these ships in the Middle East? Is that how it's going to be?
Yeah, think about that. You know, it happens with drones. You had people sitting in Colorado firing missiles in Afghanistan and Iraq. And, you know, the question really is, it gets into military ethics. It gets into the people who operate there. One of the things I was investigating was that they're looking to have a unique, special type of seaman who just works with unmanned, because it really is so different. But you can see the potential there. And by the way, once the United States has this, we know that China has this, Russia not quite as up there, but we all know those third state actors are going to be right around the corner. And when they get them, it's going to be the same problems we're having with their drones.
Right. We have a minute to talk about the Emir of Qatar in Tehran tonight. What's the deal?
So, you know, let's take a step back about Qatar. Basically, you're dealing with a country here that tries to, and has done effectively, to say that we are the moderating force on Islamists. And I think that's more of a PR campaign than is true. Now, they need to be in bed with Iran because they share the world's largest natural gas field. But what they would like to do, and what they're trying to facilitate this specific time, is again to revive the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action to maybe get Iran to lower some of its expectations of what's there. But don't be fooled. This is a nation of convenience for the United States, despite the Al-Udeid air base that's there. That is very important. But remember, Al Jazeera was taken in 2020 off, you know, as basically a foreign agent. And so we just need to be wary of them. They could be helpful, but just like the monies that go into Hamas, you know, that they give, most of them end up in Hamas's hands.
Right. Eric Mandel, thank you very much. Also, Mike Wagenheim in New York, thank you.